Hey, today I want to talk about barriers, and in my brain they're kind of categorized into two different pieces, and there's maybe a bunch of different philosophies out there on how to kind of compartmentalize in your brain student barriers. But I view it as two different types of things. But there are things that the district can proactively address, and things that the district is going to react to in terms of student barriers. Things that we can kind of control and get out in front of, and then things that we have absolutely no control over happening. So today I want to talk a little bit about proactive barriers, things that the district can do, and hopefully we'll dive into some of these a little more in depth later. But just want to kind of go through some proactive barriers for student success that districts can control in improving the experience that the kid has at school, and that's really what we're talking about. Um, Number one, and probably everybody's got their policy and procedure around this, and respond to it the way that they respond. But bullying and peer issues, yeah, it's a big issue, right? It has been for a while, just in the way that districts respond, their level of response, and the definition, and how even the definition is interpreted differently between parents or board members or admin. But needless to say, that feeling of unbelonging, if you will, and maybe it's not necessarily bullying or harassment of a student, but maybe a student that just doesn't feel like they belong. They don't have a connection to anything at school. I think that probably, in some regard, has the same effect on a student. So how do you address either the active bully in the school, or those students that feel socially isolated or disconnected? I think oftentimes, having been in charge of discipline for many years, we know those kids that are in the office all the time. Those are easy and at the top of our head, and we're able to fire those off and probably have some sort of risk assessment. We use a risk assessment algorithm to kind of help compile that group of kids that need some assistance and need some intervention plans. But it's the kid that's isolated, that never gets written up, very rarely, that maybe has mediocre grades, that is um, kind of isolated themselves from the rest of the social experience from school. Those are the kids that need to be identified by the staff members. They need to be brought to the forefront, and just checked in with. And maybe they're just quiet kids, but maybe there's something going on there. And those are the situations that kind of scare me a little bit. But we can definitely be proactive with our policies on bullying, and then following through with those situations that present themselves, and then proactively kind of finding the socially, academically isolated students and just checking in, and making a phone call home to see if everything's good. Those things go a long way in addressing those concerns. School climate and environment. So I'm a big fan of teach it or allow it. Either way, it's our responsibility. So if we're teaching things, and modeling those behaviors at school, then we need to have a system and or a workflow that kind of helps organize that and promote that. And so some sort of behavioral interventions, some sort of rewarding students for doing the things that they are supposed to and or that we desire. And when you're building a culture, I think that's extremely important. We can't overlook those things that are expected, right? They should bring this. They should do that. They should do that. Yes, they should. You're right. But what incentive or motivation are we giving them in order to do that? Are we saying that, hey, we see you come to school every day prepared. We recognize that and we thank you. Or does it never go said? Do they never get the recognition for doing that? Those things feel good. Everybody likes being told that they're doing something right. So at the very least, foundationally, when it comes to school environment and climate, from a behavioral intervention, let's model those things that we desire, and let's reward those things that we desire. And sometimes we desire people to just do what we would normally expect. And then, do you have some sort of reward system for those students that go above and beyond expectation in regards to behavior, attendance, grades, whatever that might be? Are we recognizing perfect attendance? Are we recognizing students that never get in trouble, if you will? Are we recognizing students that grow academically, that maybe don't necessarily just get the highest GPA, but according to growth on some metric, right? Those are things that I think can help achieve a positive school climate and culture. Um, if a school has a poor environment and has a lack of discipline or unfair treatment from students or staff, it can contribute to students missing school. So make sure that your climate and your school environment is positive and that's rewarding those things and you're modeling those things that you desire on a daily basis. Um, so kind of flipping from the social component and the bullying and harassment and the positive behavior and the lack of negative behavior, hopefully in the district, jumping over to academics, which is a huge piece in school attendance. I think that sometimes goes overlooked. We talk about often, home situation, transportation, hygiene. We talk a lot about that stuff, and those are all real issues, believe me. But sometimes we don't talk about the tie between the academic struggle and the attendance. And so, what supports at school? Well, what are some of the things you're doing at school to support those academic struggles and get the students the help they need so that anxiety level from a classroom standpoint is as low as it can be, right? So when students fall behind or they miss work or they lack that support system, they're more likely to just roll over in bed and go ahead and not come in the next day. We want to eliminate that. We want them to feel valued, seen, heard, and educated at school while they're at school. So do you have RTI programs? Do you have academic assist embedded in your daily schedule outside of the special ed department? We're talking regular gen ed students that need assistance and help for various reasons. Maybe it's because they've been out a lot. Maybe it's just because they're a little bit behind in reading. Maybe it's an effort thing. Maybe it's an organizational thing. So do you have different types of responses for those things embedded within your school day? It can't just be, hey, listen, we're gonna meet with you a minute a day or 2 minutes a day. I'm gonna look over some things. There needs to be meaningful intervention in closing gaps that could potentially become an issue, and that's how students begin to feel supported when they have small groups or an adult that's checking in with them on a regular basis and checking in on their academic and social well-being. So those are things I think that would certainly help reduce school-related stress. Just a kid knowing that they have a team at school. And then the last thing that's kind of a personal thing for me, and I mentioned it in the other video, is just a reentry to school and the feelings of anxiety from a schoolwork standpoint and from a social standpoint for an extended stay, whether that be medical, vacation, out of town, whatever it is. They're out of school. We want to reduce that anxiety. And what are some strategies that you can do for those students that are coming back to you after a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks out of school for whatever reason? Oftentimes those things aren't under their control. Are we meeting with them? Are we reducing a workload? Are we supplementing their work? Have we put them in one of those RTI groups, even if they don't preemptively qualified for that, just to catch them up? Are we giving them a mentor or a peer buddy during the school day to kind of help aid and assist with the content, the knowledge, and then therefore, kind of rebounding from a grade standpoint? Are we doing everything that we can? Are we proactively removing those barriers for those students so they can re-enter the school day with success? That's another thing that allows students to feel belonged. They feel connected to the school, and it's a place they want to be. So there's a little content for you. Just be sure moving forward as you are looking at barriers and different interventions that you can tag to your barriers. Make sure you keep track of those things, what's working, what's not working, and always use that data to drive future decisions.